Hey everyone, me Kevin here. The incredible 37% off coupon code for the amazing courses down below does expire today. Check those 5 courses out down below on real estate, stocks, money, YouTube, and more. Let's get started today on the news. At least 5 members of Mike Pence's staff, Vice President Mike Pence's staff, have now tested positive for COVID, suggesting that COVID continues to spread within the White House. We also now have updates from White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on the latest for stimulus negotiations, as well as updates from Nancy Pelosi. Rather than playing the entire 30-minute segment where both of them talk, what I did is I cut these segments down to the most interesting pieces. The rest is not as necessary to listen to. So let's go ahead and listen directly to what Mark Meadows has to say for 60 seconds, and then let's hop on over to Nancy Pelosi and get updates from her. I'll add commentary as necessary so we can get a little bit more perspective. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Remember, you could still get 3 free stocks with Webull when you sign up and deposit $100 and get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes down below. Here we go.
Offer after offer, and Nancy continues to move the goalposts. And as you know, we're up to $1.9 trillion. I personally have talked to the leader multiple times. I've talked to senators multiple times. And at the end of the day, it was the Democrats just last week who said that they weren't going to support a $500 billion deal. So they said no to some relief.
But you guys are up to
$1.9
trillion. And I'm just asking, have you identified the, like, obviously when the deal happens, we're all optimistic that Mnuchin and Pelosi are going to be able to come up with a compromise. Do you have a commitment from McConnell that he'll bring the bill to the floor? And have you identified the Republicans that you want to vote for it? And
I'm going to pause really quickly here. So remember, we need 13 Republicans on board with this to actually get this done, this bill done. That is, Pelosi and the White House could literally agree on a stimulus package. They could agree on 2.2, 2.4, whatever. But unless we have 13 Republicans in the Senate, it's not going anywhere. Now, the good news is, right before this question here from Jake Tapper, Mark Meadows did say that he is already speaking regularly with Senate Republicans. This is important because he would not be doing that unless he would be gauging their interest in moving forward with some parts or all of the parts of a $1.9 to $2.2 trillion deal that's still in negotiations. So that is good news, but let's continue on to see what we have here.
have you gotten commitment that they will?
Well, obviously we've identified those Senate Republicans most likely to vote for it, but We're not Nancy Pelosi. We're not going to vote or opine on a bill and pass it before we've read it. And so we need to make sure that we actually read the bill. We haven't gotten an agreement. I do have a commitment from Leader McConnell that if we get an agreement, he's willing to bring it to the floor and get it passed. But the Democrats, again, I want to
Oh, that's good. That's good. If we come to an agreement, we have not heard this before. That's actually very, very good. What he just said was he's willing to bring it to the floor. We've heard that. He said that himself, but he just said, and get it passed. That's good. That's actually very, very good. So I'm optimistic about that. Obviously, we got to actually get the deal first, but that's good. It makes us feel a little bit better that the second stumbling block might just be a little speed bump.
Senate Democrats had the opportunity to send relief to the American people this last week, and they didn't do it.
And let's talk about that. You said a few days ago.
Yeah, so I cut out after that. We're going to talk about Nancy Pelosi now, mostly because then he goes on to this tirade about how Democrats are holding things up and they should have passed the $500 billion deal. We know that Democrats are not going to do the skinny bill. There's no surprise there. So instead, let's listen to what Nancy Pelosi has to say.
So we have to act. To do anything, though, that does not crush the virus is really official malfeasance. And to crush the virus, we just have to follow the science. Testing, tracing, treatment, mask wearing, ventilation, separation, and the rest. And that.
Which, just for giggles, I Googled that, and it is wrongdoing, especially by a public official. All right, let's keep going.
Is what Vice President Biden has put forth. So we have it in our bill. They said they're going to get back. Last week, you remember they said, we'll support the testing language with minor touch. Well, that was 55% of the language. We're still waiting for the final okay, and that is a central issue in all of this. We cannot just say, President, here's trillions of dollars, spend it any way you want. We have a plan, a strategic plan.
Okay, that's actually really bad, because just to pull up a calendar here really quickly, I'll just verbally say this. So we had on the 15th, it is the 25th today, on the 15th, Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, said, we will accept the testing and tracing language. On Tuesday the 20th, Nancy Pelosi said, well, they came back with all these revisions. And by the end of the week, we thought they had resolved these divisions. In fact, we heard reports that we have a deal on a national testing strategy. Now Nancy Pelosi is saying we still don't have a deal on a national testing strategy. This is really one step forward, one step back.
Yeah, and also same thing. They keep moving the goalpost. They every time they say we move the goalpost, that means they're projecting what they did.
So I get that, but it just seems like they keep moving closer and closer. I get that you're waiting for it on paper, but it just seems like you're winning. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I'm looking at all the things that the White House is moving towards your position on, and it seems like you could take yes for an answer.
Well, as soon as they say this is it, in our negotiations, yes, that is the case. But then they take it back, and when they come back, it isn't what we anticipated. So
okay, I see what's happening here. So this is very similar to real estate negotiations as well, where what happens is you've got the two real estate agents. Let's say Nancy Pelosi's an agent and Steve Mnuchin's an agent. And they're like, yeah, okay, I think we can get this done. I think we can get this done. This sounds good. This sounds good. Great. Yeah, we got a deal. Okay, great. Now I'm going to go back to my committees or my seller and my buyer, and we'll make sure that's done. So Nancy Pelosi, she's like, okay, yeah, well, we're good. But Steve Mnuchin goes back to his, buyer or seller in this sort of hypothetical example here. And the Senate Republicans or maybe Republican committee members look and go, no way, I can't believe you'd say yes to that, Steve Mnuchin. We will change this verbiage, we'll change this, we'll change this, we'll change this. And then Steve goes, so this is what I got, going back to Nancy Pelosi, and she's like, y'all didn't do anything. Oh, gosh.
I'm hoping tomorrow, Monday, the secretary, I sent over on Friday the list of the concerns that we still had about what is the answer? What is the answer? What is the answer? And my understanding is he will be reviewing that over the weekend, and we'll have some answers on Monday.
So recall our state of stimulus video yesterday. Right now, this is where we were yesterday, is that the committees are finalizing language, but we still don't have that. So that's what's up in the air. What else is Nancy Pelosi waiting for answers on? Are undocumented workers going to get $1,200 stimulus checks? Are we going to do $500 for children, or are we going to do $1,000 for children on stimulus checks? Are we going to do the $600 in unemployment pay per week or the $400 in unemployment pay per week? Are we going to do the full $15 billion to the post office? Are we going to do the money for child tax credits? Are we going to do the full set of money here for the testing and tracing? Mostly this is down to language now. But what about schools? Republicans are at $105 billion, and Democrats are looking for over $224 billion. So to me, it seems like the last week, even though we had multiple 48-hour deadlines, we still haven't gotten very far, and this is very frustrating. Yesterday, we also talked about the election calculus and what potentially happens if Democrats sweep, that there is a very real potential that if Democrats sweep, they might wait to pass another bill, basically, because they might end up getting more money if Biden gets in. In fact, that's what we talked about yesterday. May wait until January 20th, early Feb, for a bigger, more complete package. Now, that would be very unpopular to say right before the election, because then voters might punish Democrats for threatening to wait. So this is where Nancy Pelosi by Jake Tapper was literally just asked that question, and her response is expected. But let's listen to it.
If the Democrats win the White House and the Senate and keep the House, are you going to hold out until Democrats have control of everything and you can get a bill more to your liking? Or are you still going to go ahead with working with the president and Mitch McConnell, et cetera?
The latter, for sure. I mean, people need help right away. What I say to them, though, what we are doing right now is to make the bill bigger, better, and safer for you, and the benefits will be retroactive. But no, we want it the sooner the better, and that's why we're making concessions. We're making concessions too, you know. And so, no, the sooner the better.
Okay.
And Mitch has even, leader has even said, keep working, and he doesn't want to do it before the election. We want to do it as soon as possible. I thought the president did too, and that was part of the leverage that each side had, that we both wanted an agreement. Why would we even be talking to each other if we didn't believe that we could reach an agreement? So again, it could happen this week in the House, but that's up to Mitch as to whether it would happen in the Senate and go to the president's desk.
So what did we learn today? Well, we got some good news that it looks like Mark Meadows told us, hey, if we get a deal, we will get it through the Senate. That's some good news. Nancy Pelosi says she's making concessions. We haven't really been seeing those concessions publicly. I wish she would be talking about those more, but it does sound like we took another little bit of a seat back here on the national testing strategy. We knew that the language was still being talked about, but it doesn't sound like we got any closer. We had 2 48-hour deadlines last week that did literally nothing. Nancy Pelosi is hopeful that we'll get some answers to her remaining requests tomorrow on Monday. But in the meantime, this is the absolute freshest and latest information we have. And so that's what we have for today. Make sure to get your life insurance, your 3 free stocks, and check out the programs down below and that coupon code that is expiring. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.